like a Hellcat. Like a Hellcat.
Ciao ragazzi, and welcome to another edition of Serie Sitdown, World Football Index's podcast of Calcio. Told like it is, I'm Frank Crivello. He's Richard Carmen. Ciao, Richard.
Ciao, Frank. How we doing, man? You recovered yet?
I'm fine. I mean, it's sport, man. I mean, it's like I've been through so many of these that it's like you're almost immune. When look at it this way, you know. It was an ass kicking early, all right. So you're not too. So towards the end of the game, you're not too disappointed. It's not like you lost by a goal where there was like some sort of VAR failure or referee failure or some. It
wasn't surprising. It wasn't surprising either. Yeah,
it wasn't necessarily surprising. So I guess I'm a little bit more disarmed. For lack of a better description, as it pertains to, a Milan derby defeat. I'm over it. We weren't good enough. And Inter were on another level, and we've seen them do this a lot. So it was a beating, a double pounding for you.
Yeah.
You had two derbies this weekend and lost by a combined 7-0. That's
not good.
Sorry, man.
Not good. And I got one each day. It wasn't like it was all one day. I got a day to recover. It was one after the other, one day after the other. So I'm just starting to recover now. Never good to lose derbies. Never good to lose two of them in a weekend.
Sure.
But it's overall neither was really far from being expected, I guess. Obviously the Milan Inter one was more unexpected. I mean, we knew it was going to happen because the forms of the two teams. Inter has just been so deadly in the last 19 games, 18 games, and Inter and Milan has been faltering. So you kind of saw that writing on the wall. But 3-0 probably didn't. No one saw that coming. They probably thought it was going to be like a good beating, but maybe like 1 or 2 goal victory, not a thorough thrashing really as it was.
Wishful thinking on both our parts to think it would be like a 2-2 draw.
Yeah.
So, but I'm with you and. So derby dominance for Inter, a derby debacle for Milan. We will break that down here momentarily. We'll get to the rest of match week 23. We will discuss what happened today in the Champions League for Lazio. Folks like Jerry and Stephen Moore are out there and they need a hug.
Pray for them.
And then we'll preview the big one between Atalanta and Real Madrid for Wednesday and also have a look at the Serie A teams in the Europa League. Round it all off with everybody's favorite hashtag game, Who Won Calcio Twitter. And we have some beauties this week, Richard. It's gonna be.
Yes.
I don't think we got anything close to what Perisic did last week.
That was brilliant. Yeah.
But we got some good ones. The Calcio Twitter never fails us. So
that's right.
We'll roll those out. Here a little bit later on in the program. But let's get to that. Let's get to that derby first and maybe put post-mortem on it here, Richard. It was Handanovic in goal, back three of Skriniar, Divrai, Bastoni. Hakimi and Perisic were the wingbacks, and then Barella, Brozovic, and Eriksson were in the midfield. It was Lukaku and Martinez up front. So right off the bat, you see Perisic starting on the left-hand side as the wingback. That decision over Ashley Young. You see Christian Eriksen starting instead of Arturo Vidal. So slowly, Antonio Conte showing some trust in those two guys, and both of them delivered in this game.
Yeah, it's funny. I think this is the third start in a row for Christian Eriksen. Deserved starts for sure. And the Perisic one, well, a couple weeks ago was probably more of a head scratcher for me. Why is he starting? In the last couple of weeks, he's shown why he's deserved those starting spots. He was arguably the man of the match in this game. Both players were excellent in this one. But yeah, it's Conte starting to have some faith in these guys, giving them some more minutes, and as a result, they're producing. And the Perisic in particular, he was always a player that we've known to be a good player, right? When his first stint with Inter, he was a fantastic player. All the teams wanted him. He made the move abroad. Didn't do so well at Bayern Munich. I mean, he did okay. They won the Champions League, right? But they didn't want him, so he was a surplus to them. And he went back to Inter and started off, and he struggled with them. But we knew that player was still in there, and finally Conte is getting the best out of him. Finally got the right position for him, and his confidence level is through the roof at the moment.
Yep, for sure. Milan coming back with Donnarumma, Calabria, Kjaer, Romagnoli, Teo Hernandez. The double pivot is Tonali and Kessie, which is what I wanted. With Benacer being absent, you had Salamakers, Çalhanoğlu, Rebic behind Ibrahimovic. There's no way this is the best 11 Pioli could put out there. There's no way. I mean, surprised that Leao did not get the start in this game.
I wasn't. I guess I actually kind of preferred Rebic over Leao, only for the sole reason for the defensive attributes that he could do, because we know what Hakimi brings to the game, right? And
right.
He terrorized Teo in the first game of the regular season derby, and so we knew that when he needed some help back there. We didn't know that Kessie was going to be as involved defensively as he was to help. So yeah, Rebic, I thought for me was going to be the logical choice there, but offensively, Rebic has been struggling lately, and you would have thought Leao maybe he plays really well in these games, especially against Inter. He seems to show up for these games as opposed to any other game. So, yeah, I mean it's a 50-50 call there, but I was pleasantly I was surprised. I wasn't surprised to see Rebic. I was happy to see him in the lineup. Ultimately, that led to disappointment for me, but
sure. And the fun began for Inter in the 5th minute. It was Lukaku getting forward, and then it was a great sliding challenge from Kjaer.
Yeah.
And then Lukaku goes and recovers the ball and puts in a perfect cross. A lot of debate about this from Milan fans. The marking was terrible. I mean, the cross was excellent. It had to be exactly where it went. Lautaro Martinez finishes it. It's a debate here. Who lost him? Was it Kjaer? Was it Calabria? Should he have slid over and recover? But either way, I think that you just, while on the one end the marking was, childlike, I think you also have to give credit to Lautaro for recognizing it, and getting in between them, splitting them perfectly. And then you also got to give credit for the ball that Lukaku played, heck of a cross, and Inter sets the tone right off the bat with a 1-0 lead. Yeah,
and really the whole play started with Lukaku just burning past Romagnoli. It just made him look abysmal there. Kjaer had a great slide tackle, as you mentioned, and Lukaku, to his credit, did find the pass. Lautaro was certainly open, and he, for a little guy, he's so good with the head. With the headers, right? But yeah, the question is who was the defender there? Who should have been? Kjaer wasn't marking anybody on that play. Calabria was stuck in two minds between two different players. Whereas Tonali, perhaps, he should have been there, maybe, perhaps. Sure. I think ultimately I'm going to give the biggest shtick to Kjaer because he wasn't marking anybody.
Right.
He should have had somebody. He should have seen Lautaro there. All credit to the striker for getting the right position, like you said, and finding that spot. And then Lukaku with the brilliant pass. It was just two guys who know each other very well, and they found each other, and a great opening goal for Inter.
Yep. It just puzzles you to see that much space be available.
Yeah. If it was Bobby Gaggs, you'd be like, okay, I can see why you left him alone. Lautaro is arguably the second best player on their team. I'm like, come on.
Sure. So what I saw watching this in the first half, I saw an Inter team that scores early. And we've seen this with them, and Lazio is very similar in this respect. If they get an early one, the Calcio guys are in the house. Good to see you, gentlemen. If Ricky's in the house, yes, Ricky, congrats. Anyway, usually you see, okay, we get one. Mark Morgan, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. We got the chat coming in. You guys are all coming in. You guys are all late. We started.
We started right on the dot.
Yeah, we started right on the dot this time. Usually we're a couple minutes late, and I think that's what happens. Or they waited for us to kind of get over our small talk or whatever.
We're ready to get over the Derby, right?
right. We're trying to get past. We're trying to get through the Derby really quick. So, but anyway, you see this with Inter. You saw it against Juve. You saw it against Lazio. They get the early goal, and after they score that goal, they just say, "Okay, you get the ball now. Yep. You got to come and get us." And if you send too many guys forward, be careful, because we're just going to destroy you going the other way between Lukaku, Martinez, and especially with Hakimi coming up on the right. And then when you've got a technician like Eriksson now in the midfield who can spray some of those passes, that makes it even more dangerous. But that didn't happen here in this derby. I think, over the next 15 minutes after they scored that opening goal, I think they knew that Milan were shell-shocked, and they were going for a second. And there were chances to get them. And then after that, they said, all right, let's drop off. And you start to see Milan start to produce a couple things, nothing that's going to give Handanovic or anybody any trouble, because, they're so good, and Antonio Conte teams are so good to get that early goal and then just say, all right, and what they did, and this really happened throughout the entirety of the match, they made Milan predictable the whole way. And I think that, this is where I'm critical of Pioli's selection and wondering why a player like Leao didn't play from the start. If they're going to sit back and they're going to be in a shape and they're going to keep everything in front of them, who's the guy out there for Milan that's supposed to unlock this defense and who's supposed to get them off balance? Okay. The game plan for Milan looked like, okay, lump everything into Ibra, do things off of Ibra, and then there wasn't really any other plan B. So Inter just, to me, they sat back, they invited the ball into Ibra. They just didn't invite the second ball going through. They didn't invite anything dangerous. And I thought Milan were far too predictable with their team and with the way they approached it going forward.
I tell you who it should have been. It should have been Mr. $7.5 million a season, Mr. Wannabe Calhanoglu. Where was he? Where was he? This is the game he needed to step up, and he was gone, missing. But we'll get to him a little bit later. I thought, watching the first half, and for majority of the game, but in particularly the first half, a couple things are pretty obvious. Milan static, not moving at all. Just everyone's standing still and passing each other, hoping someone's going to be open. It's like, you're not going to. Conte with 7 days preparation, you're not going to break him down like that. Come on, really?
Right.
And you watch Inter, they're mobile, they're moving around. Guys are doing different positions. They're keeping Milan off kilter. That's what you're supposed to do when you want good teams. Yeah. They're constantly moving around, constantly, making it difficult. And Milan made it way too easy, way too predictable. Just standing still, hoping that their passing is going to beat them. It's like, come on, no, you're not going to beat a disciplined Conte team with the static play. It was poor from Milan.
I mean, and that's Who's the guy that was going to unbalance these guys? And you said Calhanoglu. I actually said this on Alex's radio show on Friday previewing the game. I said Hakan Calhanoglu is going to be the most important player for Milan in this derby. If he can get on the ball early, and if he can try to create a couple of things, and if he can have an impact early in the game and set a tone, it's going to give Milan a chance. His first two opportunities to do something significant with the ball, he gave it away. And that told the story right there. This was going to be a long, long game, as far as Milan having the ball and going forward, because for what Rebic and Salamakers can do, what they can't do is they're not going to outpace people. Rebic is very good as a positioning guy. Yeah. All right. He's good in the air. He gets in the box and finds his position on crosses. He gets in the right spots, but he's never going to outpace anybody. No. Salamakers has a little bit of pace to him, but it's easy to just kick the shit out of him. Yeah. And if he is, it's still the element of Serie A that he is still struggling to adapt to, is the physicality of the defending that can happen. And just a little bit of aggression on him, and he loses interest. And that's the way it's been with him in recent games. So, I mean, I'm being awfully critical of Milan, but in a game that you absolutely have to have, and I get, you can't even make an excuse about the game in Belgrade, because 7 or 8 of your starters in this derby didn't play in that game. Okay, so you can't make that excuse. So, what is it? I mean, you still have enough time to prepare for this derby. This is what you come up with. It was poor team selection. It was poor in their approach going forward. Defensively, it was going to be a struggle without Benacer and an adjustment with Tonali, and they never adjusted. And
the one thing I did like from Milan was Kessie helping out defensively, shading towards Teo's side to help with Hakimi. I thought that was a good thing because Hakimi wasn't super active in the first half because of Kessie's defensive work. But other than that, was really the only highlight defensively for Milan, because you're right. Yeah. Benacer made it difficult. Tonali wasn't really marking guys, not just him. The whole team in general. So,
but that set the tone for Perisic to have the game that he had, because he just had tons of space as a result. Milan got a little, to your point, with Kessie providing some cover to that side. Until Tonali, I thought actually was playing all right. The defensive side of things, I think he struggled with, and I think that's just a risk you're going to take. But I thought he connected some passes. I thought that he was one of the guys that was actually, doing some decent things. He started to unravel in the second half as the game wore on. He did some decent things in the first half. Classic guy. First half looked fine. Second half faded away. Yeah. But it was, so there were some massive reinforcements, and quite frankly, Milan were very, very lucky to go into the break only down 1-0. They come out of the break, and this is where it gets interesting, because these were the 10 good minutes that Milan played, where they came out like gangbusters, created some things. It was Ibra had 2 headers that Handanovic made world-class saves on. Yeah. Sandro Tonali had a great chance that Handanovic makes another save on. Yeah. We're talking about a potentially different game and a huge momentum swing if any one of those are goals. Yeah. Certainly we can't overlook Sami Handanovic. And what is it with teams, with players all of a sudden who suck all season, but then when they play Milan, they look like they belong on our team of the season?
Hey, sometimes when you're playing a team who's at the top of the table, you want to give your best, right? And so Handanovic sure turned back the years. He's just with that 10-minute spell, he was arguably one of the better men of the match of the game. But I mean, great saves, point blank saves, great reactions. 36 years old, but looked like he's more like 26 in those minutes there. Great play, great game by him. And they kept talking about how it was a duel between him and Zlatan and stuff. But yeah, Handanovic, fantastic during the 10-minute spell. The time when one time a game where they Inter faltered, really, they kind of were back on their heels because Milan came out like gangbusters, like you said, out of the half. He's the one who stepped up and shut the door, really, and that changed the rest of the momentum of the game, because it was only 1-0 at that point, and it could have been 1-1, 2-1, 3-1 at that point. So Handanovic, full credit for that.
Yep, absolutely. And their momentum trying to get back into the game gets killed in the 57th minute with a goal that is going to be up there for goal of the week, and a brilliant team counterattacking goal that is ultimately finished by Lautaro Martinez. Perisic providing the service on that goal, but it was, I think there was 6 or 7 Inter players who touched it on the way to that goal getting scored.
Team goal.
Classic counterattack and the classic punch in the mouth when you're trying to fight your way back into the match. Really got Milan reeling, and then they were put away for good in the 66th minute. A solo effort by Romelu Lukaku. Kessie can't keep up with them, and Romagnoli doesn't close them down. And the combination, and I said it, I was watching it as it was developing, Richard. As it was developing, and Romagnoli kept backing off. I said, Lukaku's going to score here. I mean, you're giving him way too much room, way too much respect. You've got to confront him. You got to take your chance at some point and confront him. At that point, he didn't, and Lukaku took his chance. you know what he said. I didn't. I know. I caught Katso, and that was it. So
yeah, he's like me. I fucking told you so. I mean, he did rightly so. I mean, he was a beast in that game. And that play in particular blew by Kessie, blew by Romagnoli, and then after the goal was scored, Romagnoli's looking around blaming other people. Like, what were you guys doing? He's like, you were the one guarding him. What were you doing? You know.
Yeah.
At some point, like you said, you gotta. If someone's that much better than you. You need to take him down professional fouls. You've heard a thing called professional fouls? Take him down before you get to the box. Yes, I know Eriksen's around there, and if he's too close to the box, but still, you can't let him go running like that and free. And if he gets an opportunity, he's going to score. He's been a fantastic player this year, and now after he lost all this weight, the last year or so, he's that much faster. I mean, he's blowing past guys.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep.
Great game by Inter overall. It was just fantastic by them. That team goal that they scored for the second one, what a brilliant play. I mean, I mean, you mentioned all the players that touched it. It was like at one point it was Hakimi to Eriksen to Perisic to Lautaro. I mean, it just sliced open Milan. It was a brilliant goal.
Yeah, has to be said. It was an excellent goal.
Yeah.
It's a 5-star performance from Inter. I mean, there's no other way around it. There's no way to sugarcoat it. Milan were poor. They looked ill-prepared. I absolutely hate using the Thursday Europa League game as an excuse. I'm not going to. I refuse to. These are professionals that need to sort this out and need to understand.
It's a derby.
When you're in multiple competitions, you just automatically you got to get dialed in on the derby. So it's one of those games. But, I mean, this was an Inter team that the game plan was perfect. They got the early one. They pressed for a second. When they didn't get it, they just dropped off, let Milan have the ball, just didn't want to give anything away. Had to live on their nerves there for about the first 10 minutes of the second half. But once they got that second one, that third one came out right away. That just killed the game. And it was, as evidenced by the substitutions that both teams made the rest of the game, it was damage control. So who was the best player in this game for you?
It's tough because there's so many good players for Inter. Perisic is going to be the first one that jumps to my mind because he was involved in almost all the goals. Lukaku was amazing. Lautaro obviously with the goals. Barella was good. Eriksen was good. Handanovic obviously. But I'm going to give a slight edge to Perisic over Lukaku, just slightly. How about you?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm probably showing Handanovic a lot more respect than everybody else, though, because we're talking about a 1-1 game, and we could be talking about a totally different series of events if one of those goals goes in. We don't want to underestimate Handanovic's performance, but I think Ivan Perisic was outstanding in this derby, and I think a big reason why is because he had a lot of freedom to be outstanding. I mean, with the way that Milan rolled and shifted things defensively, it was all about trying to, have people around Lukaku when he had the ball, make sure Hakimi didn't do anything dangerous. And it was almost like, they disrespected Perisic with the way they defended. And Perisic just, took offense to it and responded by, coming up with a key assist there for Martinez, but also with the work that he did with the ball, without the ball, was a great performance from the Croatian.
There's a statistic that came up during the game that I didn't even think about. I mean, I knew for both teams, really. So both teams, the statistic was Milan had been struggling mightily in the last month. And Milan's lost 4 games in the last month now after not losing at all. I think maybe 1 game in 2020. And then Inter on the flip side, they've gone unbeaten now for 18, 19 games now. And I realized they had been doing well, but I didn't realize it's been 18 games. So, they're on their own impressive streak as it is. It wasn't too long ago that we're talking about Milan with their 25, 27 game winless streak, or winning streak, I should say. So Inter's, getting strong now. They're playing consistent. We talked how inconsistent they've been all season, but they're getting now. They're against the bigger teams. They're performing. And we said, Conte, and he has the 7 days. There's only one tournament they're in at the moment. He'll prepare very well for the teams, and you have to be on the top of your game when you play his teams on a 7-day preparation. Milan didn't do that. They flat out did not play. No one showed up. I was talking to somebody, I don't remember who it was, and I'm like, Calcio can just walk. He didn't deserve. This is the game. He had to show up. He asked for all this money. Gigio Donnarumma, he was left out to dry most of the time. There's nothing he could do. The first goal But on Lautaro, I thought he should have probably had a better reaction, but I'm not going to fault him for that. I will fault Calhanoglu because he was absolutely not even visible in that game. Ricky has a comment in the section which is interesting. He says, will Milan's momentum shift after this loss? And I'm assuming he means the priority wise. I mean, Milan should still try to go for Scudetto. The priority is Champions League, and we've been saying this all season long. But you should still go for it. You're only 3-4 points back now. Anything can happen. Inter can still slip up. Juve are hot on the trail. Atalanta, Roma are right there. I mean, anything can happen at this point. Milan just needs to find a way to get back to what they were doing, before this last month or so, because they've been losing, teams to Spezia, to Atalanta, to Inter, to Juve. So they just need to get back onto the basics and find ways to score. I mean, you can't depend on 79-year-old Zlatan to do it every week. So someone else needs to step up for them. Yeah.
I have a few thoughts on this. So let's start with Calhanoglu. Yeah, I mean, he was absolutely terrible. There's no question about it. It was, this. But here's the thing: the dip in form was coming. Okay, we talked about this. There was no way that Milan were going to be able to sustain this throughout an entire season. No, no team can. You're eventually going to have your dip in form. Everybody has their dips in form at some point in the season. Juve had theirs really early. Inter had this really early. Now they're rounding into the form that we anticipated of them. Milan are now having their struggles, and we knew this is going to happen. It's almost like it's like when you watch a NASCAR race or something like that. You're at the pole for several laps, and then you have to pit. And then you're in the back, and you got to work your way up to the front again. Can you work your way up to the front? And that's the situation that this is where they pit. Can it be a quick pit stop?
That's the question.
And get back on track. Can they get the tires changed quickly? Can they fuel up quickly? And all that other stuff. So I can't believe I actually made an auto racing analogy on a soccer podcast, but here we are. But anyway, it's Calhanoglu. When he's out of form, it's painfully noticeable. Because so much has been in his entire time at Milan, there's just been so much expected of him. The issue here that I have is Pioli. What do we say? We got very comfortable with Pioli, haven't we? And what happens whenever a team of his has the struggles? Lazio, Inter, Fiorentina, when there's been struggles under Pioli's watch, he does not really do well in getting them out of it and bringing them back. Every single stop he's made. So that's the thing that scares me, probably more than Calhanoglu at this point. Now, so we'll see if he's learned from all of the, from past mistakes, and if he gets it right here. To
his credit, though, last season before they went on this great run, Milan were struggling, and there was questions about Rania coming in. He's going to lose his job, and he did turn around then. But this is a bigger stakes on the line now than before. Let's see now, like to your point, can he turn this around now? Because this can make or break his legacy here. If he finds a way to turn this around and makes it a challenge, you're going to look at him as a successful manager, or it could be the flip side and be back to where we thought he was initially when he was hired. So
sure. Here's some thoughts, because Milan Twitter is all in a panic right now. Okay. They think they need to get new players. They need to get a new manager. They need to get into everything. Yeah. Okay. First of all, George, good to see you. David, thanks for checking in. If you're watching us live, please drop a like, mention yourself in the chat. We'd like to know who's all tuning in. It'd be great to hear from you. And definitely any questions, send them in. Should Calhanoglu go back to the left until he can refine some form? I wouldn't mind it if it means if you can push up Tonali, and at this point just take the chances of a Maite Kessie double pivot and hope that it'll eventually work. Because right now, I mean, it's not going to get until Calhanoglu can find his form. I don't think you put him in the middle. I don't think you put him in the attacking midfield role. Milan, relax. You're not Cagliari. We know that. George, I'm actually going to say some nice things about Cagliari later.
You're the one.
Yeah, I'm going to be the one. So anyway, that's one solution. The other thing that I think about, I mean, and I understand, you said Rebic is, defensive contribution and his help and that sort of thing, but he's so stagnant. What about Mandzukic on the left? In that
he
setup,
was brilliant.
He was amazing under Allegri in that.
Yeah.
You got him.
I'd rather see that than Calhanoglu, honestly.
You got him. You're going to lose him at the end of June. Put him on the left. Yeah. Put him on the left and let him run his ass off on the left like he did for Allegri at Juventus.
Yeah.
So, some things you're going to have to do. One of Leao or Hauga are going to have to play. Because you need the dribbling, you need the running, you need the guys that are going to be dynamic, that are going to try to get defenses and get shapes off balance. And right now, because this setup didn't do it. Rebic didn't do it. Salamakers didn't do it. Everything was way too predictable. So these are the things that they're going to have to think about and do. Okay, the right is the problem. Yeah, we don't have a great right winger. I mean, I'm almost tempted to say that as much disdain as I have for him, Samu should probably be getting more run there. Because at least he'll be able to run. He'll be able to, he won't dribble at people, but his movements can get people off balance. So.
How about this? Because Samu and Salamakers, they're very similar. They both have moments where they're really good, and then they kind of fade away at other times as well. Maybe put in Hauga, give him an opportunity on the right-hand side. He's better on the left, but he's also productive on the right.
Yeah.
Maybe Calhanoglu, either you can slide him out left, but I'd rather have Leao there, or Leao in the middle. Maybe Leao up top with Ibrahimovic playing off of him. Someone slower who can hold the ball up with somebody who's a little quicker and can get open. That could work. Maybe even having Rebic in there somewhere in the mix as well. I don't know, because having Calhanoglu out left, though I see your point exactly. I think maybe he just needs to be benched for a little bit. Just I'm not talking for the whole game. I'm just talking about not starting. Give him time to think about it. Maybe that'll invigorate him something that maybe some energy musters up and he starts playing better because of it. Some guys react to that well, other guys don't. You'll find out a lot about him too, because if he starts pouting and stuff on the bench and starts complaining, like, "Get me out of here," go, you're not worth the $7.5 million. But if he goes on the bench and then festers and then gets better, hey, that's what you want.
Do you try a balancing act of, continuing to try to fight for top four whilst keeping Calhanoglu on the bench and getting into some kind of eval mode to see what else you have?
At least in the short term, yes, because nothing's going well at the moment. In the last month, nothing has gone well for Milan, really.
Yep.
I'm going to be one of the few people who thinks the result in Belgrade was actually a decent result. But
I do too. I thought it was fine.
Yeah, outside of that, though, nothing has really gone well for Milan the last month. And yes, they've had a hard schedule in the last month, and it's only getting harder, but that's not an excuse. So they need to find a way in the short term to fix it, and then, once they start stabilizing, they can go back to try to, what their bread and butter is. But they need to find something in the short term. Otherwise, it can continue to go down as these teams step up. I mean, Spezia is probably the worst loss we've had in this run, because look at where they are on the table. Inter, you're expecting them. Juve, Atalanta, but Spezia, you're like, that's a punch in the mouth.
Yep. Inter, I'm still putting it out there that I'm still Juve was my pick to win it, but Inter are now the favorites for the title. Okay.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
After that win, I got as bold to say, I said it here, I said it on Alex's radio show. I said, look, if Inter lose this derby, they won't win the Scudetto. I don't think Milan are winning this Scudetto. You and I have been saying this all season long. This first place is a nice little novelty, but the reality is that it's top four. If it happens to be first, outstanding. Obviously we'll take it and run, but top four is the goal. Milan do not have Scudetto winning credentials. If you're a loyal listener on Serie, Sitdown, we never said at any point Milan are going to win this thing. We were never convinced, and now the other shoe has dropped. The dip in form has happened, and now it's a matter of how do Milan react.
Go
ahead.
I was like, what the big difference between these two clubs are, and it was painfully obvious in the derby. While both teams have very good starting 11s, the depth is different.
Yeah.
Inter have been built. Yes, they spent a million times more than Milan, but they have the depth. They can go to the bench and get Vidal. They can get Bobby Gaggs. They can get whoever they want off the bench. While Milan, they got Sanchez off the bench as well. And Milan, they're struggling. They got some younger guys who could potentially be really good, but their depth is nowhere close to where Inter is at the moment. So Inter are rightfully so the favorites. But I see what you're saying about how Inter now the clear favorites, and I do agree because I picked them to win the Scudetto. I don't think this game has as big of an effect as many people think because some people are writing off Milan and this and that. I'm like, they both teams had a big cushion on third and fourth place and everybody else. A loss wouldn't have hurt either team. It puts a damper on their percentages or chances of winning Scudetto. Inter's obviously going to jump up now, but Milan are still in there and they're 4 points back. I mean, anything can happen. Milan just had a 6-point lead not too long ago, so things can evaporate. Things can change very quickly. So Milan are still in the fight. But I mean, I agree with you. Inter are the favorites at the moment, and they should be. They're playing lights out at the moment. So,
I mean, for Milan to they've got to try to hang on to a top 4 place with Juventus, Roma, Atalanta, and Lazio, all away matches. All away matches for them. They had them all at home, in the first half of the season, and now they're all away. In the second half of the season. So
I agree, Phil.
And the Spezia game was definitely more concerning. The Spezia game was very concerning. So now, how do they react? Can they get back up? As for Inter, this is all they got left. They're hard. They're going to be hard to beat going forward. I'll give you the hot take, though. They're going to drop points against Genoa on Sunday. So
Genoa have been playing really well.
I think it's a hangover game, and I think Genoa have been playing really well. They're playing really well. They're playing their style really well, and I think that and it's just this would be so Inter of them, and that they win this derby and they're on this high, and all Interisti are sticking out their chest, and then they play Genoa and they drop points.
We're still in winter, remember, and Inter are notoriously they drop points in winter. But we'll see. I mean, this is a different team, a different beast, so I mean, who knows? But no one's gonna walk away with the title, I think, at this point. I don't think I think the season will be close between the top, 3 or 4 teams. But we'll see. It's going to be an interesting race. But yeah, Inter have certainly, asserted their dominance at the moment and showing that they are the top dog at the moment for real, especially Milan.
Yep. Christian Eriksen has probably solidified his place, in this Inter team when it was long talked about that he could be gone. Perisic is probably going to remain a fixture there. So it looks like guys that were real question marks as far as the future at Inter have really staked their claim here. So, it's an Inter team that, like I said, I think they're the favorites for the title. Juventus is still my pick. I'm gonna stand by that. But right now, on how Inter have performed against the big teams here over the last several weeks in league play, and the Cup's been different, obviously. They are the favorites because they're getting it done against the big teams around them. One of Milan problem. We did have a question on, didn't we have questions on Twitter as far as it related to Milan before we move on here?
Yeah. So, I mean, and David brings up a good point that Milan has struggled against a 3-5-2 this season. Yeah. And, Jake, that Milan fan, he saes 3-5-2. What if Milan switches to a 3-5-2? I don't particularly like it just because the players that we have how would it fit in the defense.
I just wonder that they don't have the guys for it.
Right. That's the only thing that's concerned with me defensively. I think midfielders, they have it, and they could find a way to have Leao and Zlatan up top, but the 3 at the back is what worries me.
Right.
But I agree with David. I mean, Milan has to do something to adjust to the 3-5-2s because the last few teams that have beaten them have gone with that kind of formation, and Milan have no answers for it.
Sure.
And the other question is, well, it's about the Bologna game, so we can get to that once we talk about match week 23. So,
excellent. All right. Well, how about we go ahead and batch match week 23, Richard, and take them all.
All right. Starting off with Fiorentina Spezia. Looked like we might have a chance to have a letdown game for Spezia after the big win against Milan. Sure enough, they did. It started off fairly well for them. It was 0-0 going to halftime, but coming out to half, Vlahovic with a nice play where it looked like the ball was going to be out of bounds. Castrovilli kept it in. Vlahovic with a flying volley for the goal. 1-0 there. 64th minute, Castrovilli would get his goal, make it 2-0, and then to top things off, Eseric with a nice goal in the 82nd minute, 3-0. Fiorentina rout Spezia. Cagliari and Torino. This game was actually pretty entertaining in this one for a low-scoring game. Both teams had their opportunities. Went back and forth throughout the game, but the lone goal was actually a nice goal by Bremer off the corner. And the 76th minute, 1-0. Torino would win on the road. Moving on, Lazio hosting Sampdoria. This was a tight affair. Ranieri's men made it difficult for Lazio, but Lazio would get a goal through Luis Alberto in the 24th minute. They win 1-0 at home. One of the highly entertaining games of the weekend. Genoa and Verona. This game started off with a goal of the week candidate, Elic, in the 17th minute, and I forget who assisted to him. Antonin Barak. A great pass to him and a nice volley by Ilic. 1-0 in the 17th minute. Eldor in the 48th minute, he would come on as a substitute in the 45th minute. He would get his goal in the 48th, made it 1-1. Faraoni made it 2-1 at the 61st minute. And then in stoppage time, goal of the week candidate, but Milan Bade with a brilliant long-distance shot to beat the keeper. Nothing Silvestri could have done about that. 2-2, that game ends. Good points for both teams. It was a very entertaining game, as I mentioned. Moving on to Sassuolo and Bologna. This game started out well for Bologna. A turnover that Musabaro was all over. He finds Soriano in front door in the 17th minute. 1-0 at that point. Sassuolo had a lot of the opportunities in this game. Skorupski was huge, but they finally broke through in the 52nd minute. Ciccio Caputo finally got his goal. I think it's third or fourth game in a row that he's done that. 1-1. Both teams share the spoils in that. Parma Udinese. Cue the music. Don Cornelius scores a goal in the third minute. About time.
First goal of the season.
First goal of the season.
We got. Where's the Soul Train music, man?
It'll be on the podcast.
Okay, we'll put it on the podcast because I've been telling you. Maybe I thought you forgot because we just got.
He hasn't scored all season. I forgot.
We just were okay with the fact. Okay, you're not going to score this season. We can just stash this away till next year.
Yeah, that's what it was.
All right.
Exactly what it was. He nearly got a second one. Not too long after that. I think it hit off the post. There was a save by the keeper. But they would get a second goal through a penalty. Kuchka would convert it 2-0 going into the half. But coming out of the second half, Udinese played very well. Rodrigo De Paul, nice assist to Okaka for the header. And then Neutink in the 80th minute got a goal, made it 2-2. Parma did have a chance late on to get the winner, but they failed. They lose. They draw 2-2. It felt like a loss after being up 2-0. Another highly entertaining game. It's going to be a big one. Atalanta hosting Napoli. That could either be a high-scoring game or a low-scoring game. What we got was a high-scoring game. Lots of goals of the weekend candidates in this one. Goal scoring, though, did not start until the second half. I guess they all took the first half off. There's a lot of opportunities, but in the 52nd minute, Duvan Zapata getting assists from Muriel, the Colombian connection there. 1-0 there. Goal of the week candidate, Zielinski, a beautiful pass by Politano over the top. He volleys it out of the midair. Makes a 1-1 at that point. Game on. Lovely movement between Muriel, Zapata, and Gosens led to the second goal. 2-1 at that point. Muriel with a wonderful strike in the 71st minute, 3-1 at that point. An own goal by Gosens in the 76th. Good pressure by Napoli to force that own goal, 3-2. And then Romero with a goal, a sloppy goal off a corner kick in the 79th, 4-2. Big game, big result there for Atalanta against Napoli. Napoli are starting to be very shaky at the moment. Them and Milan are struggling mightily at the moment. Next game, second to last game, Benevento and hosting Roma. This game was difficult. Benevento had some chances early on. Roma, obviously is going to dominate as much as they can. We did see a red card from Emil Glick, 2 yellows in the game. Stupid foul on Mkhitaryan for his second yellow. He gets out of the game. It didn't really affect Benevento in the sense that they kept it together. Roma kept coming at them. They thought they had a penalty in the late stages of the game. El Shaarawy taken down in the box. Looks like they get a penalty here. Maybe get a deserved win. But VAR steps in, says El Shaarawy was offsides, no penalty. Game ends 0-0. A tough earned point for Benevento in this one, especially being down in man. And then lastly, to round it out, the reigning champions Juventus hosting Crotone. This is the Ronaldo show early on. In the first half, he did get a goal in the 38th minute after missing a very easy tap-in. Probably the first time he's missed a tap in his career, probably. Just before halftime, he would get a brace with a header. The play starts off with a long-distance shot, forces the keeper to make a save. Full credit to Ramsey, hustling to get the ball. feeds it back to the box. Ronaldo puts it away, 2-0 at that point. Nearly got his tripleta just before halftime, but he fails in his attempt in the hat trick. But Weston McKennie would get his I think 6th goal a season in the 66th minute. Juve walk away 3-0 win. Nice victory for them. And a lot of goals this weekend, a lot of expected results, but some highly entertaining games, Frank, overall.
Yep, we did. It would be Di Francesco's last game at Cagliari. And we learned that Leonardo Simplici is now the manager there. He is released from his contract with Spal. And will take over at the Sardinians. So, they had been playing with a back three. They played with a back three here against Torino. That's what Simplici does. So that's not going to change. He'll play a back three with wing backs. You'll see Zappa and Leko Giannis. And Simplici is saying that the work is psychological. It's absolutely psychological, and this is one of those weird ones because Jerry Mancini reveres Eusebio Di Francesco, if you could tell from the tweets, that he puts out. That's sarcastic, by the way. And I'm pointing out that you can make the case that a sacking was harsh because, and George is here, so I'd be interested in his takes on this. Yeah. That the sacking was harsh because you look at a lot of these games that Cagliari were in. They were in them. They were unlucky. They have a striker that they depend on for goals who just can't score right now in Giovanni Simeone. The guy is desperate for goals right now, and he's just not getting there. The pieces to this Cagliari team are too good to be sitting 18th. Joao Pedro's been there forever. Yeah. The back three is decent. Cranio's a very good goalkeeper. I really like Razvan Marin. We are going to talk about Razvan Marin the way we currently talk about Rodrigo De Paul at Udinese. I think we're on the way there. Yeah, the handful of times I've watched Marin play, I'm impressed. He's not as dominant and as obvious as De Paul is right now, but he will get there with time. I like his game. He's a guy that, I'm interested in. Simplici says it's psychological. He's got to figure out how to get Simeone to start scoring goals again. Because once that happens, Cagliari is going to get out of this rut. They have been in these games. They have not been woefully behind. They should have beaten this Torino team on Friday. I watched a very good chunk of this game. And psychological, because they've been so unlucky with some of these results. I'm just going to pull up, Cagliari's results at the moment. I kind of think the Di Francesco sacking is semi-harsh. I'd like to hear what your take is on this. I get it's a business, it's a results business, and it has been an awful long time since Cagliari won the game. And for those reasons, if you want to sack Di Francesco because he's not getting the wins, then that's fine. But we're talking about on performances, they're very, very close. Atalanta beat them in stoppage time. Lazio beat them 1-0. They had their chances in that game. They got the draw against Sassuolo. They lose to Milan. These are close games that they're involved in, except for the 4-1 beating they took to Napoli. But everything was tight. It was just, one odd thing here or one odd thing there, and Cagliari were dropping points here in this run. It's not like they were completely. They go on this losing streak and they're completely out of their depth. What are your thoughts on Di Francesco out, Simplici in?
This is I agree with Simplici that it is a psychological thing. Cagliari started out so well under Miran originally. They came out and they were, fighting for a European spot, and the things looked great, and all of a sudden they kind of tanked it after that. And they kind of never recovered ever since then, right? And the pieces are there. We've seen them play. They have some really good pieces at Cagliari, and they got a striker he's one of the better strikers in the league. He's one of the consistent strikers of the league. We talked about in the years ago when Moriello, he's never one of the top strikers in terms of being the big club, but for a smaller club, consistently scoring 15 goals. And now you're talking about Joao Pedro doing the same thing. He's on 11 goals already, and he's still got, many games to go. So they got the pieces there. It just, for whatever reason, they couldn't get over that hump. And as harsh as it may be about, sacking EDF, I think it's fully deserved because ultimately, like you said, it is a results business, and Cagliari has absolutely no business being an 18 spot, 5 spots, from safety. And it was in a weird relegation 6-pointer against Torino, because these are both clubs that shouldn't be in that situation. And so I think it was a fully deserved spot for EDF. This is we talked about many times how this is a chance for him to kind of save his career after, they had a great time in Roma, and then after Sassuolo, and then Roma had that really great year, and then ever since then it's been crap. And this is a chance to save his career, and he hasn't done that. And maybe he needs to go to another league. I don't know. But I think he couldn't figure out a way to get through to these guys, and these guys are, maybe I'm sure the players are to blame, but
yeah,
he had to go, I think.
When Moran was fired, I said this, that we made the prediction here on Serie Sitdown that it would be Eusebio Francesco. So this would be a great opportunity for him to revive his career. And I think he got Cagliari playing better football. Okay,
sure,
but he's not getting results. And it's a business, and you've got to get results. And that's what ended up happening here. That's what he got sacked over. If he had a striker with some kind of form, this Cagliari team is not. There's no chance this Cagliari team's in 18th. They're maybe in 12th or 13th at the very, at the very worst. Don't get me wrong. I don't think they're would be a European contender or anything like that. But to see them where they're at right now, they just and then they get beat on a set piece here, a great one here by Bremer.
Yep.
But they're losing on little lapses in concentration at bad moments because they don't, when they get the chances, they can't put them away. So, we'll see what Simplici does with these guys. And I think they'll be fine. Right now, Sassuolo, I think we're very unlucky to only come away with a point against Bologna. They were down to 10 men. The Hickey red card was very harsh.
I'm 50-50 on that red card because at first glance, I thought that was a harsh call. And then I watched the replay. And I'm like, he did get his cleats pretty high up on the ankle. I mean, it was – I will agree with you. It is harsh ultimately, but I mean, it's still a red card.
De Zerbi said it was harsh. The opposing coach said it was harsh.
Yeah. So, but it was a good game. I think, obviously they had lots of the opportunity, and it's good to see Caputo getting some goals. But again, they're not doing just enough to stop the opposition. They nearly had a great winner at the end, where I think it was Caputo fed Traore, and Adama Soamaro had a great slide tackle to prevent that. But I mean, they're not scoring goals.
Yep.
They have all the pieces now, and then Berardi's back now, and they're still maybe it's not fully match fit yet, but they're not quite up to speed like they were in the beginning of the season, right? They started out so hot.
I think it's coming with them, though.
I do. I hope so.
I think it's coming with them. I think it's going to come around for them now. They're at Torino next. That'll be a challenge, and they host Napoli, which is going to end up with Napoli's form currently at the moment. That is an under the radar huge game.
Goals in that game.
So
any game with Sassuolo is a goal game.
Yeah, you can expect goals any game that has Swallow involved. That's for sure. But yeah, it is. Consistently staying in 8th. Verona is starting to peter out a little bit here. Had to come from behind twice here against Genoa, but there's Genoa on 11th. Okay, I said after these that they'd be top half, but 11th, I was close.
Not bad.
So I said by match week 23, Genoa would be top half of the table. There they are in 11th, and 4 points off of the top half. We had this team pegged for relegation. I mean, they're exactly who we think they are.
Who's ahead of them? Who's ahead of them in the table?
Sampdoria.
Oh yeah. Well, I had both those clubs being relegated.
We're not we're not allowed in Liguria anytime soon.
No.
So that's just the way it is. The Atalanta Napoli game, just a thrilling game. And it lived up to the billing when these two get together. Just got to look at the statistics on this. The Muriel goal was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was a different type of dribble than the Mancini goal for Roma when they played Lyon.
There's a play where Gasparini ultimately got a red card. So Pessina goes down in the box. Mario Ruiz is the one claimed to have taken him down. What were your thoughts on that? Because when I saw that, I first thought, okay, maybe it is a foul. And you watch the replay, it looks like Pessina slips, and I don't know why. Maybe because Gasparini is so far away. That's why he's so angry about it. What were your thoughts on that penalty? Because
I don't think there was. don't think there was enough there to call it.
No, I didn't think so either. It would have been a pretty harsh penalty if they had given it to them.
Sure.
But Gasparini pissed off and gets a red card, and I think that fueled his team. So
when did we ever think over the last few years we'd see a Napoli team have more possession than their opponent, even if it is Atalanta, but only come away with 4 shots?
Yeah, that's a rarity. Usually they have the possession, but they have like 20 shots. 4 shots is very, very unlike Napoli. And yeah, you're playing Atalanta, but still, they're a team that we know can create opportunities. Until they have 4 shots is not a good thing. And they need to figure out quick because, I mean, we'll get to the European games, but they didn't do well there either. So Osimhen
I think it's just a game action issue with him.
Yeah, I do too. He had a great header early on that Golini had to save, but I mean, other than that, he's not there yet. And obviously having a collarbone injury or whatever it was, it's difficult to get back. And you have to trust your body. Your body's not there yet. You have to take some time to get used to your body, and then your teammates got to get back used to you. So it's going to take some time with them. That is hopefully for Napoli's sake. They figured it out quick because when Osimhen was at full kilter, this was a fun team to watch, wasn't it? They were one of the more entertaining teams to watch in the season. And ever since his injury, now that he's back, hasn't been the same just yet. But I think they need some time. So,
thoughts on how Mela is settling in at Atalanta? He's in there for Hateboer right now, and it seems like the first couple times I watched him play, I didn't think anything of him, but these last couple times he's making more of an impact. It looks like he's adjusting, fairly quickly, especially with it's not. I mean, Hateboer, with what he means to that team, it's not easy to replace a player like that, and but it's definitely. It's definitely a situation where he looks like he's coming on here for him.
Yeah, it's certainly a plug and play situation type with Napoli, right? They have these guys that can step up and they perform. Now they're not going to be the stars of Hateboer and Gosens or whoever they take the place of, but they can do an admirable job. And so they just find the right guys for the system, and he's fitting in nicely with Napoli. I mean, with Atalanta, and so you give him more opportunities. I think he will blossom into a player. I mean, it won't be maybe Hateboer style, but he's enough to get them to be productive, and I think that's important for Atalanta going forward and defensively. So,
sure.
Good addition.
Sure. All right. I think the only other notes that I had from these round of games: Roma 71% possession.
I'm surprised it was that low. I thought it was higher.
And did next to nothing with it. I mean, we've said this about Roma. They're better when they can counter. Yeah, they're better when they have space and can exploit it and can get behind it quickly. Which coach is first to go if the slumps continue, Pioli or Gattuso?
Gattuso.
I agree, but I don't think either guy goes until the end of the season. To be perfectly honest,
I agree. I hope.
I just don't see a manager wanting to walk in. I mean, because what are you going to do right now? You're 23 games in. Next weekend, 24. If you got 14 games left, who are you gonna bring in to say, hey, you got 14 games to get us into Europe or to get us into the Champions League or keep us in the Champions League? Where you got to employ your tactics, put your stamp on it. Get to know the players. You might know a few of them.
Too much is on the line for both these clubs that, like you said, there's not enough time to get things going. So
you're best served keeping these guys until the end of the season and making a decision on them at that point, depending on performance. Because I can't see a Max Allegri want to go to either one of these teams with 14 games left. So
do you think Juve is out of the Scudetto race?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
They are dangerous. They are lurking. They are getting it together at the right time.
They're 4 points behind Milan and another 4 points behind Inter. No, they're still in it.
Yep. And granted, they beat Crotone, and Crotone is easily the worst defense in this league. I mean, just they've conceded 55 goals. The next highest is 45, which is Parma. And so much for D'Aversa reviving that team's fortunes at the moment. I mean, they had Udinese and they gave it away.
Hey, they got Don Cornelius to score, right? Though
they did. Amazon is doing a special on Juve called All or Nothing. It's official. Soccer is fixed if they win this guy. Don't.
But it looks like a good series. I mean, I saw the series they did with Manchester City, and that was a great series there. I found it interesting though that they were first on Netflix. Juventus were, and now they're with Amazon. I don't know if Amazon's paying them more money or what, but I'd be curious just because not because it's Juve, and I don't want to necessarily watch Juve, but the production value that Amazon and Netflix put on is top quality, and so whatever you watch, you're entertained and you want to watch more of it. So I'd watch it. I'd definitely check it out for sure. But I thought the Manchester City one was excellent, so I would definitely check it out and see what happens. But maybe they win.
It's Agnelli, man. He's out there pimping his brand once again.
Yeah, making that money. It's a business.
Why not? Wherever you can generate, you got to pay Ronaldo somehow, right?
This is true.
You don't have fans right now. You got to figure out where you're going to get the money.
That's true.
But nonetheless, so Juve is absolutely in this thing. And if they can, now as a diehard Milan fan, do you watch it? I watch it as a diehard Calcio fan.
Yeah.
So,
hey, the birthday boy,
birthday boy, happy 40th, my friend.
Yeah, I definitely watch it.
This is how he spends. This is how he spends his hangover with us.
Amen. Amen.
This is the last place you want to spend a hangover. Yeah. We make your headache worse.
We cause the hangovers.
So, oh my goodness. Oh, Stevie, I hope you had a good one. I know a lot of it. Yep, we love you too.
My last note before we get into the goals of the week, Chiesa, another strong performance. He's starting to look like he's becoming the focal point of Juventus.
I like what he means to them now. I really do. I actually there was a DraftKings interleague DraftKings contest yesterday, which included the Juve Crotone game, and I only took Ronaldo and Chiesa from Juve, and they were both ungodly expensive. But anyway, I mean, I've got that much confidence that I'm willing to take Chiesa because he's racking up a bunch of points, whether it's crosses, shots, and then he's popping up for goals too. So he's become kind of valuable in that regard, and he's really becoming very valuable to this Juve team. So almost 8 teams may be a part of the top 4. Absolutely. I still say don't count Sassuolo out. We talked about this. I say they're getting guys back. They got to get it together a little bit. They got to get a little bit more repetition, but they're going to be as dangerous as anybody here down the stretch.
I don't leave out Hellas because they got the defense. Verona has a defense that they could compete with some of these big boys. They have I think the best record of the top 9 against each other. So don't forget about them.
Little too far, and so 9 teams. Little too far out of reach for Sampdoria at the moment.
Yeah,
but you know what I mean. It's just under the radar. The job that Ranieri has done there is impressive. So yes. That's what we have. Goals of the week. You want to have at it first?
Yeah. Number 5 for me. I'm going to go with Vlahovic's acrobatic goal. The first goal of the game in that game. I liked it a lot. Number 4, I'm going to go Antonin Barak cross with Illich with a wonderful volley there. That's number 4 for me. Number 3, long distance bomb by Milan Bade. Wonderful strike there. Number 2 for me, Politano's beautiful assist over to Zielinski, and Zielinski just volleys it out of midair. I love that goal. That was a great shot. But number 1 for me, Milanisti, plug your ears here. It is that Inter team goal. Hakimi to Eriksen to Perisic to Lautaro. Wonderful team goal there. I mean, you could pick any of the goals in that game, but that goal was just sliced open Milan. So that's my top 5.
Yeah, I've got that as my number 1. Number 2 is the Badel volley. 3 is the Vlahovic flyer. 4 the Zielinski volley, and 5th I've got the Lukaku counter.
Fair.
I tweeted the video of the bowler Pete Weber. Lukaku after scoring in the derby. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Okay, he rolls it. I guess it's like he needed a strike to win this tournament by 1 pin, and he gets the strike, and He's just it's bowling, god damn it. Seriously. And
you brought up bowling and NASCAR on our podcast.
What's happening to me? But you know, he shouts, "Who do you think you are?" I am. And just
Lukaku.
just that, god damn it, I did it. I'm just like, oh gosh, this is it's bowling, dude. Just dial it down just a little bit.
That's awesome.
Oh man. So but nonetheless, yeah, those are my 5.
There is a question I want to get to about Bologna. So Jake, at that Milan fan is his name, Jake. He says Mihajlovic, I guess, made some statement after the game. He says, "Do you agree with Mihajlovic saying that Bologna would be fighting for a European League spot with Zlatan Ibrahimovic? Do you also agree about his statement that this Milan and Mihalovic's Milan are on the same the same level minus Zlatan?" On that second one, no. This Milan team is far better than
let me pull up that Milan team under Mihajlovic in the 2015-2016 season. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so goalkeepers Diego Lopez, Christian Abbiati, and that's when Gianluigi Donnarumma just got on board.
Yep.
So defenders Mattia De Sciglio, Philippe Mexes, Alessio Romagnoli, we just got on board. Rodrigo Ely, Lord Zapata, Ignazio Abate, Stefan Simic, Luca Antonelli, Alex.
Yeah, no. This is
right.
flat out no.
That's right. Alex played
borderline banter era.
Davide Calabria, a very young Davide Calabria. Midfield. Here we go. Jose Mauri, Keisuke Honda, Andrea Poli, Ricardo Montalivo, Juraj Kuchka, Giacomo Bonaventura is probably the only good, Kevin Prince Boateng, very young Manuel Locatelli, and Andrea Bertolacci. And then up front, Jeremy Menez, Luis Adriano, Mbaye Niang, Mario Balotelli, and Carlos Bacca.
It's just at the end of the banter there. So no, I don't think this current Milan squad is much better than Mihalovic's Milan club minus Zlatan. But I do think if Bologna had Zlatan, they would be probably fighting a European League spot. I think they're underperforming right now. Bologna are. They have the pieces there. They're missing a striker. If they had a good hold-up striker, Musa Barrow is fantastic. But to have someone like Zlatan there could only make everyone else better, I think. Yep. So, it was...
this Milan is far better.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that Zlatan would have spent his entire time just picking fights and kicking the shit out of everybody. Not, scoring goals. So please, it was my birthday Friday. Steve, I mean, sometimes we got to take a moment to remember where we were to appreciate where we are. All right. So, that's just sometimes that's got to happen. All right, but Sinisa is just that's just begging for headlines. Yeah. Anyway, so I know this Milan team is way better, and there's no comparison. So, Musa Barrow. We love Musa Barrow on this podcast. We've raved about him plenty of times. Speak, Brother Frank. Yeah, I was holding sermon. So now I have brought up a NASCAR comparison. I've brought up a bowling comparison, and I've given a sermon today. All in one podcast. The value people are getting just in one.
This is what happens when Milan lose a derby.
We gotta figure out we gotta generate some joy somehow.
My goodness. A few joys at the moment.
So anyway, all right, well, let's move on to talk about other people suffering. Lazio fans in particular today. It wasn't pretty. And this game had a lot of hype going in. People thought Bayern, are they spread too thin? Lots of injuries. Coming back from the Club World Cup. Didn't look good against Bielefeld.
Listen to me, folks. That was never going to be a game.
Lost to Frankfurt. And then Hansi had a chat with those boys, I think. And then further, when we knew it shouldn't have been when we knew
I know
when we should have known this wasn't going to be a game? When Lazio rolled out Matteo Musacchio.
Yeah.
I looked at that lineup and I said, he's going to do something stupid. and it's going to remind everybody of why he is nowhere near this level.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it only took him 9 minutes to not let us down. He didn't even leave us in suspense. Make a couple good tackles, make a couple good challenges. Yeah, let's just underhit a pass back to our goalkeeper. And who happens to be around there? Oh, the best striker in the world, Robert Lewandowski, and he pounces on it, scores 1-0. That just sets the tone. When you're that bad that you get subbed in the first half, and and the commentators were saying, well, this is clearly a tactical substitution. No, this is a he sucks substitution, and Simone Inzaghi is figuring it out now.
Yeah. Get the dumb fuckery off the damn pitch.
Yeah. I said, get out of here.
I've been saying this all goddamn season is that Bayern are too freaking good. They're the freaking world champions. They don't need help getting goals. They can score 10 goals on their own. I said that. I think I tweeted this out today and to Lisa or something like that. They didn't need help. They got 3 gifts today. Why? Bayern took their foot off the gas, which they rarely do. Usually, they'll if they can score 8 goals, they'll score 8 goals, and they took the foot off the gas after halftime. But I mean, 4 away goals a game. This is done. And I didn't think it was going to be close. I mean, I thought
the shame of it is that Musacchio coming off. The shape and the setup from Lazio got worse because you're having Lulic deputized as a third center back, which is not what he does. And, it's like, and I even made the comment on Twitter. I said, if Bayern want to eat today, they're going to eat. And I was stunned. They called off the dogs, and went more into maintenance.
They got to start and get their stuff back together in the league play. So maybe that's why they took it off. But Correa did get a goal back, but it's this is done. I'm sorry, Lazio.
George is my man. George is my man right there. Screw it, let's go bowling. I actually used to bowl growing up too. Now I want to watch The Big Lebowski after this. You're a man after my own heart, George.
Great movie. That's a great movie.
That is a classic.
I need a Caucasian now.
I'm sticking with my spotted cow for now. So I don't even think I have the I don't have the necessary ingredients for the White Russian. So market zero.
Market zero.
Lazio do get some the dude abides. Bring on the Big Lebowski quotes. Let's just do it. They do get a consolation. They do get a goal. Joaquin Correa scoring, but Lazio have to go to Munich and win by 4 to have it, to go through, and that's just not going to happen.
They're not Barcelona.
Yeah, they could bring Canalia back from the dead. They could have the players from Sven-Goran Eriksson's championship team. From 99 2000. They're not overturning this. No. So we can say, and we kind of knew this when the draw came out. We said, yeah, this is as far as Lazio go. Great job getting through the group stage, what was a pretty tricky group.
Fantastic job by Inzaghi's team.
And considering everything that they went through with the absences, with the COVID, and how much Inzaghi had to change his team during that time, Lazio fans should look at this as a success. It's going to stink the way they go out, but they should definitely look at this as a success, considering what they had to go through just to get to the last 16.
They played anybody else, they would have had a chance. But playing against Bayern, it's difficult for most teams in the world to compete against Bayern.
Yep. All right. So Wednesday we have Atalanta and Real Madrid in Bergamo. Oh, giddy up! This is going to be fun. Yeah. And you want to know why it's going to be fun is because Real Madrid are missing. They're missing potentially Sergio. Well, they're missing Sergio Ramos for sure. Potentially Karim Benzema, Eden Hazard. It looks like Real Madrid's projected lineup. You still have this nasty midfield of Kroos, Casemiro, and Modric to have to try to navigate through and around, which is really, really good. But not having their leader back there in Sergio Ramos is going to be a big, big help for Atalanta. Varane has shit his pants many times at this stage. And now he's got to run the back 4. Thibaut Courtois back there in goal. I think Atalanta just need to make sure they understand the men that they're playing against and not worry about the mystique of Real Madrid.
Yep.
And if they do that, they're winning this first leg. I think they win this first leg tomorrow. I'm very confident in them.
Yeah,
I'm going with 3-1 to Atalanta. They're going to give one up in some shape, form, or fashion because it's Atalanta. They don't defend particularly well. But I'll go on record in saying that Atalanta are winning 3-1 tomorrow.
I'll one up you and go 4-2. I think Atalanta need to have the mentality that they had last season, where they didn't care about who they played. They went to Valencia, beat them 8-4. They played PSG, and they really could have won if they had Ilicic. And so no matter who they played last year, they stepped up, and it didn't matter what the name was. It's all about guys versus guys. I think if they play their brand, they're going to give them a hell of a fight. But if they fall for that mystique, which a lot of teams do, because it is Real Madrid, the most successful Champions League winners. I can see how that can be daunting, and especially if there were fans, it could be even more daunting. But they're not, so that's the great equalizer there, I think. So I think Atalanta, if they continue playing the way they are, play the beautiful brand that they can, they should be able to get some goals in this one and surprise a lot of people again. Because they did surprise people last year. They'll surprise more people if they get a win against Real Madrid here. So I think they can get a win.
Are we really surprised that Steve's not going to give Atalanta any opportunity to win here? He thinks that Real wins.
Shocking.
But I wouldn't. But here's the thing: I would not rule that out either, because Zidane just, whenever the chips are against him in the past as a manager, he's always, come up with the formula, to come up with a result or get his team in a position for the home leg where he can recover a couple of these guys and make it a whole different ballgame.
And those midfield bosses, they can control games.
Yep.
They've done it for years. And to Phil's credit, 12 healthy senior players for Madrid only. So, Milan, Atalanta have to take advantage of this. They do. Because, if they got a sizable lead or a 2-goal lead, that can be good for them, especially if they can hold on to the ball in the second leg. We'll see, though. Long way to go.
It's if Real Madrid gets something that benefits them going back to Madrid, it's because Casemiro played absolutely lights out. In that midfield and cut out a lot of stuff, and made it difficult and did a great job in helping to protect that back four. So we'll see. Gonna be a great game, no doubt about it. We'll go with Atalanta to win by 3-1. Quickly here on the Europa League, Richard. Napoli hosting Granada. They lost 2-0 in the first leg. They had 10 piss poor minutes in there. Against the Spaniards, where those 2 goals came from, beaten 2-0 there, and they have to overcome that 2-goal deficit. I could very easily see Gattuso look at this and saying, "Okay, punt. We got bigger fish to fry with the league. We've, we'll see when the lineup comes out. It'll be the telltale sign." So that's the early game, and then Roma hosting Braga and Milan hosting Crvena Zvezda at the same time, 3:00 East, 2 Central. Roma won 2-0 at Braga. I was actually very surprised by that. I thought Braga would beat them.
Roma had a letdown game against Benevento because that great performance against Braga, and then they come back and shut the house against Benevento. So
yep,
good win.
Yep, and Milan are sitting in the driver's seat. They just a win of any kind over Crvena Zvezda, which you think they've got to be able to do, even in this little bit of a slump that they're in right now. They should be good enough to be able to see this off and go through. What are you looking for out of these 3 games?
I want to see Napoli react. If they are interested in moving on and trying to get something out of this Europa League, I want to see a reaction out of them because they have not played well as of late. And so I want to see what they can do. They got kicked in the mouth against Granada for those 10 minutes, and that hurt them. Now, can they react to that? Roma just has to show up. They don't even need to get a win. They just got to make sure it's honors even in this one. A great performance by them to get the 2 goals against Braga. I don't think many people expected that they were going to go to Braga and get a win. So if they can just play normal and don't shit the bed, I think they're in a good position. Milan are also in a good position. They were the better team in Belgrade. They didn't have that killer instinct. That's why they allowed Crvena Zvezda or Red Star to stay in the game, and they got that late goal. So they're in a great position, and as long as they can see out that game and get us any result, I think with a win, I think is gonna be good for them, and I think they'll get out. But I'm gonna watch to see that lineup. I want to see that lineup to see what their intention is.
Yeah, I'm giving Milan a win. I'm not ready to. I'm not interested in giving a score. I think they'll just win and go through.
Yep.
Roma Braga, I think, will end up being a draw. I think Braga is going to put up a big time fight here, and Roma will just match them for goals. I think it'll be a score draw there, which puts Roma through. And I can't see Napoli. I mean, I can't see Napoli getting this done.
I see like a 1-1 game, a draw.
I could very easily see 1-1. I could actually see Granada getting the first goal, which would kill the tie altogether, which would mean Napoli would have to score 4 times, which obviously they're fit to do. But I could see them getting to a point in the game where they say, "Screw this, we're done with this competition. Let's focus on top 4."
Yeah.
So that's the one wild card. So I'll go for a draw. Napoli Granada draw, Roma Braga, Milan win. So, and I think that we will see Roma and Milan go through to the round of 16 as a result. So we would have 2 teams left in the Europa League, and then Champions League, we'll have to see how it all shakes out with the second legs. We know Lazio will be out. Can Atalanta put up a result that can get them in position to maybe make it 2 Serie A teams, provided Juve can win in the second leg over Porto and reverse that. So speaking of which, because we didn't, because that was a Wednesday game, we can touch on that a little bit with Juve Porto. The 2 disastrous goals that they conceded, but they get the away goal.
Chiesa, big goal.
Yeah, and my son's a Juventus fan, and all I told him, and it's 2-0 down, and he was kind of getting frustrated watching the game. I said, just get a goal. You get a goal, you're in great shape, because a 1-0 win in the second leg, which Juve can very easily do. 1-0 is all you need to go through.
Yep.
So
they're in a good spot.
So they're in a good spot, and I think that they will go ahead and qualify over Porto. Porto's got very good players. They've got a very good team. And
for all those people who said that Milan game against Red Star was a bad scoreline, they're laughing at them. Like, stop. Like, this is aggregate scores we're talking about. 2-2 is a good scoreline to go get on the road against somebody. So stop with that.
On Facebook, the caption, someone says Napoli. It translates Napoli for Monopoly.
So does Juventus translate to Calciopoli? No, sorry, too soon.
Oh boy, we're going there again, aren't we?
Sorry.
So, all right. Everybody else's thoughts on Europe. If you're listening to us at the podcast, check in with us at Serie Sitdown on Twitter or Instagram. Let's move on now to the world's most popular hashtag game. Who won? Calcio Twitter. The Calcio Twitter segment of the Twitterverse certainly brought it again, didn't they?
They certainly did. First one comes from @_Nerazzurri, and it says the new Amazon series Prime Original, Cheating or Nothing, Juventus.
Little editing there, huh?
Uh-huh.
All right. So our friend Bob Lex, with a GIF of an eye test, Cristiano Ronaldo clearly fouled in the box and no penalty was given. Juve has been robbed. This was the video itself was gone.
Yeah.
And this must have been when he went down in the game at Porto.
Yeah.
So.
By the way, I think Juve were Juve in that game. I thought that should have been a penalty, but I digress. But yeah, I see it. Referees being blind here. Yep, it's what it is. All
right, here we go.
Oh, this is funny.
All right.
So this one. So let me paint the picture for you first. So Zhiyun, he for Backstreet Boys had a picture of it. Says we miss singing with you guys more than anything, and a picture there. I wore an Inter jersey. So Zhiyun says, "Shit band, knew it all along. Linkin Park is greater than Backstreet Boys." So Adriano FC decided to remind him, "Hey, look, Linkin Park's posing with Inter also." Oh, sorry.
What did that turn into? Oh, there you go. Saturnian respond, "I want to die."
See,
good stuff. Good stuff. Now, if we qualify that as a winners, are Saturnian and
share spoils?
Would they share it?
They should.
Okay. Okay. So let's rule. That's our ruling on that. So, okay. So Alex nominated at Napoli Sansone. I knew Spezia weren't a serious squad when they only beat Milan 2-0.
Which is funny.
I'm willing to take a zing there. Well done.
So I also nominated at Milan Milan UA. They came back and said, "Oh yeah, Spezia beat Napoli as well, 2-1." But that was funny by Sansone.
Yep. So at Milan UA, at least Napoli scored on them, right?
That's true.
At Viola_Nation. Terrible news, everyone. Fiorentina coming back out of the tunnel in the second half is likely to start at any moment. I'm very sorry to have to tell you this.
They went on to win that game. Come on now.
They went on to win the game. I don't know what he was complaining about. I mean, it was 0-0 at halftime. So
yeah. Oh, that's awesome. This is actually a pretty good. That's a funny thread. There are several threads like this, but this was at Napolinissimo says Juventus Twitter explained thread, and it goes through to what Piralistas are, Dybalistas, Management FC. I mean, you got to go through all this. Is actually a pretty funny thread. Ronaldo fans, Italians. Let me read a couple to you. So Piralistas. I can't even say this anymore. Alienate themselves into thinking he is a good coach with potential. Live in the U.S., Italy, North, or in the Middle East. The problem are players, not him. He isn't another Gattuso. Dybalistas. Dybala is our best player. We were better without Ronaldo. Patrici is a disgrace. They think Pirlo is not a decent coach and they're misusing him. So it goes on and on. Literally goes on and on. You need to read this because it goes through like every player. It's pretty funny.
Ronaldo fans, we play better without Dybala. Dybala 2020 Serie MVP was undeserved. Milan are a bigger club. Ronaldo deserves better. He is being ruined at Juventus. They think Ronaldo should still take free kicks because he scored a lot between 2007 and 2010. Italians constantly using Pianjo. Glorify Buffon, Chiellini, and Bonucci just because of the nationality. They hate Rabiot. They can't speak English. Italians first. Italo-Americans. How dare you put pineapple in a pizza, excluding cappuccino? The South is so superior to those cheap Northerners. They're Republicans. I am Italian, not American. I've watched The Godfather 300 times.
That's a good one. There's some good ones in there. So.
Yeah, that's good. Let's see if. But we also had a thread to sum up Napoli Twitter from.
This is
Napoli,
what I first thought. I thought this was
Napoli Sansone. Osimhen depressed. We suck. We will never win a Scudetto under ADL. Claim Osimhen wasn't worth it after he played 2 games. Insigne is too short to be a capitano. Tweets, I miss the old days every 2 hours. This guy, cokeheads. These are Napoli. This is Napoli Twitter. Mostly teenagers, extremely reactionary, despise EPL teams. Americans, usually very conservative. Dude, fuck. Get this piece of shit out of my club. Oh my. Let's see. What's this one? Logical fans, unreal ball knowledge, not very reactionary, poised, good opinions, never engage. Everybody calm down.
Yeah.
What else? Who else did he have on here? I can't. I don't recognize some of the.
Yeah, but it's funny. It's funny regardless. Some
of the names on there, but that is pretty well played. So.
This one comes from Art Morelli. He says, when you've gotten Vigo Braut Haaland, but choose Daniel Kulusevski to write your bench instead.
That's good. Saturnian 96 once again on the board. Lautaro Martinez and Calhanoglu shooting in the derby tomorrow. Just firing blanks.
Yeah.
No, Lautaro.
It's one of them. Yep.
I think it's 2 Calhanoglus.
Yeah.
So.
This is from Scott_Monroe. He says, Alessio Romagnoli derby highlights. This him and a Lazio kid. Oh, poor Romagnoli.
Let's see. Okay, I nominated Nima. Actually, it's missing. Siri, what's beast mode? It was it was a picture of Lukaku's goal. So somehow that went missing.
Nino is back with another one. He says, Lukaku versus Milan was simply unfair. Men versus boys.
That's pretty good. Let's see. Go back to Milanello and get your goddamn shit together before the derby. Morgan Freeman voice, but they didn't. Sabrina Belmonte.
Yeah. Another one from Nino. It says 2021 penalties received and scored top 20. Milan 14-9, then Strasbourg, Leicester. So Milan leading the way. So they got to be first in something, right?
Yeah. Well, we're first in that. So Inter Philly. It's all been downhill since Zlatan decided to open his mouth.
Funny, but actually the slide happened before that. But yeah, no, this is funny.
2-minute video, and he gets sent off.
I like Lisa's comment was like, I hate that goddamn ponytail or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's all the ones I saw.
All right. So
tough ones.
Tough call this week.
Yeah.
We got some good ones. Chad, anybody got ones that they like? TV translates in there.
Oh man, the Linkin Park one was good. It definitely was. Adriano responding to Zhiyun. Sansone with his thread was pretty good. Vila Nation was good.
A thread to sum up Napoli Twitter.
Yeah.
Oh man, I think I'm leaning toward Napoli Sansone.
I think I am too.
I think his thread is slightly better than Napoleonismo's. Oh man. Are we going with that as the winner?
Yeah. Napoli needs some love here, so we'll give it to them.
Napoli Sansone. Congratulations, Napoli Sansone. You have won Calcio Twitter this week. There's no prizes for the weekly winners. It's just recognition and bragging rights. And I think this is Napoli Sansone's first win, if I'm not mistaken.
It might be, yeah.
He's put up a couple of efforts, but he's finally gotten it going.
Yeah. Take a lot to dethrone. Don Totti was from last season with his Roma celebrating.
Yeah, that's still making me. Although I'll say last week, Perisnich, he's got one that's up there. So
gotta keep an eye on Perisnich. He puts out they put out some good stuff out there. So definitely keep an eye out for that.
Well played. All right, well played, Napoli Sansone. Calcio Twitter, if you have a take, it's funny and we catch it, we'll put it on the board and we will. You will be next week. Also, if you know of if you know of one,
tag us.
If you're on Twitter, tag hashtag who won Calcio Twitter, all one word, and we'll put it on the board and review it. Now, please, some things here. Don't be offensive. Okay, nothing offensive, nothing vulgar. I don't think I need to go into any other details beyond that. Keep it clean. Keep it humorous. We're trying to have a good-natured ribbing at each other's fan bases or players or whatever. So
even our own fan bases, come on now.
Yep. Even at ourselves, self-deprecation is amazing. Yeah, so
absolutely.
It's actually quite funny. So, all right. Well, with that, we're going to put a bow on this edition of Serie Sit Down, Richard. Time for a shameless plug.
Yeah, I've been busy as heck with work, so I've had much time to do much of anything. But you can, as always, follow me at r_KHARMAN.
Awesome. You can find me at FTC_21. I appeared on Friday with Alex Dono on his Man of the Match podcast. Want to give him a plug at Onside Radio. Not sure if I'm on this Friday or not, or if he wants to take a break for me. So I'm just in it to give my take on his Foodie Friday topics. So, and then we talk about Calcio after that. But it's a lot of fun.
Maybe we should just take over the show again, man. We haven't done that in a while. Maybe we should do that.
We've been asked to go back to Calcio Connection.
Shocking.
We've been invited back. Jerry says he misses us. I don't understand why.
It's because we lost.
He wants us on when we lose. All right, there you go. So look out for that. There might be a possible Calcio Connection where Richard and I will be on as guests. But other than that, we'll keep coming out with random videos. If you are watching this on our YouTube channel, please subscribe and please be sure and drop a like if you enjoyed this video. It definitely helps us out. It also gives you the notifications for whenever a new podcast drops when we're on live, which is usually this time, starting at 8:30 Eastern. And if there's anything else that you want to ask us about at Serie Sit Down on Twitter or on Instagram, definitely let me know. So we have our own show on Apple Podcasts. We have our own show, our own channel on Apple Podcasts. We're also on SoundCloud. You can find us on Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, wherever there are podcasts. You can find Serie Sit Down. So looking forward to the Champions League game. Enjoy the Atalanta Real Madrid game. Enjoy the Europa League games. We will be back around this time next Tuesday. Until then, for Richard, I'm Frank. Be sure to tell your paisans about us. Ciao.